there, my name's Jill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learnt an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. And welcome to the podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. My name is Jill Tiny, and I am the founder of Collaboration Global. And this podcast is all about our members. We do have some amazing occasional guests come in, but basically the important people are the people in our community who they probably think they're quite ordinary, but are absolutely extraordinary. And this is how I find out all about it. So I'm really pleased to say we have a relatively new member in our midst, and I haven't had an opportunity to really dig deep and find out what makes Helen Gilfillan tick. What's her thing that really gets her goat? What's her thing that makes her joyous and full of life? So I'm really pleased to say welcome, Helen, to the podcast today. Lovely to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me.
You're very welcome. So it's Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Some people are like, oh no, I'm going to stay in bed all day. Everything's bad.
I hadn't even realised.
Does that affect you?
Well, I have to go now. No.
You should be in bed tucked up, making sure nothing happens to you.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I come from a very superstitious background, so I think I've gone the other way. And in fact, I wrote a little post about it on LinkedIn today, how my mum was so superstitious that I was even able to create superstitions for her, and she didn't realise. It's like, Mum, do you realise if you do that and then you do that, it means money's going to come into it? No, does it really? Oh, I didn't really. And it's like, oh! She had such ridiculous ones, like if you drop a knife, a man's coming. If you drop a fork, a lady's coming. I said, so what about a spoon? What does that mean? You know, we hadn't even got transgender at that point. But, you know, she had a meaning for absolutely. You scratch your nose, it itches on the outside, your nose itches on the inside. I mean, it was seriously bonkers my whole life. I get you don't walk under a ladder. That's common sense, you know.
Yes.
Fall on top of
it's common sense, isn't it? Yeah, rather than superstition.
But it was really funny. And it's interesting how you have superstitions without realising it. You know, like you touch wood, don't you? All these little superstitions and things happen. And what does it mean? It's really, or do you create your own luck? So tell us about your luck that you've created in your life. What would you say at the moment has been great luck for you?
Oh, crikey. Well, I guess, I don't know if it's luck or whether it was just, the fact that I made the decision to go by myself instead of an HR consultant. And I guess the luck is the fact that we're in this current situation that we're in with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was already set up working from home, and I can be at home when my girls are here as well. So, and even though where I was working, some of the back in the office, I wouldn't have wanted to be doing that during this time. And I think the flexibility is, quite lucky in that respect.
But you created your luck in the first place by actually making that choice.
Making that leap of faith.
So in a weird way, has the pandemic been good for you? Irrespective of all the people being ill and all, we get that.
Yeah, in a weird way, the bit that I've struggled with, and not necessarily struggled, but it's just not seeing friends and family.
Yeah.
I've seen my mum once since March.
Oh, wow.
She's quite vulnerable. So, you know, and I have been seeing people, or when we were allowed to go out, and so I don't want to put her at any risk. So that bit, putting that, you know, is been quite tough. But in terms of business, and it's not, I don't feel right saying it, but I think in a way I've picked up more clients and more work due to the situation with flexible furlough, and all the changes that the government announced, and sometimes quite.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, there aren't as many people wanting to commit to a retained, you know, and I completely understand that, a retained package. They don't want to commit to 12 months of you know, having a retained HR consultant. Some weigh it up and you think, well, actually, with what I've now charged you for pay-as-you-go work, you would have been better off on a retainer.
Yeah.
It's that commitment. And I'm the same. There's lots of things I haven't committed to financially during this time, because you just don't know what we're going to look like in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in a way. And it's been great, actually, to help a lot of my, you know, contacts, people I've met networking in the last year, to then just, you know, give advice. And, you know, a lot of that is just free, you know, 10, 15 minutes on the phone. It's great to put people's mind at rest as to what they're doing is right. And can I just clarify this with you? And so, yeah, no, it's been lovely.
It must be a minefield. I've often wondered, how do you keep up to speed with all of the different things that come in? I mean, especially the old furlough. And I used to see, you know, posts and different bits and pieces going out there with like, wow, it's like accountants as well. They have to take on so much additional information when big things like this happen. And everyone just turns to you instantly going, so what are my rights? What am I supposed to do?
Right?
How am I going to do this? You're like, whoa.
Or you get asked, is Tesco's going to stay open?
No, really?
Not sure. Yeah.
Oh, hang on, I'll just consult my crystal ball here.
Yeah. Do you think it will stay open? It's interesting, actually, because I think, having been in industry for 35 years, you think you know most of things and you've seen a lot.
Yeah.
So when you're working for lots of different organisations, you see the worst of every organisation, because that's the only time they realise they need you.
Oh, yeah.
So some of the issues have been quite challenging. I'm like, oh gosh, know this. So I have done a huge amount of reading, and I think also the benefit is being part of a franchise. I've got a network of 70 people like me, all with similar backgrounds or different backgrounds in different industries, that we post on. We used team chats and stuff like that, and we have meetings and catch ups, and we also have we can have access to the lawyers through the central office. So, you know, there have been a few occasions when I've had to get advice there, but it's just, I just want to run this by you. And there's, you know, everyone is just wanting to help each other. But with regards to furlough, I guess it's our lawyers keep us up to date with the handouts and updated information that we can then post out to our clients. But it's a case of just reading it the minute it comes out. You got notifications even from HMRC, listening to news, and just making sure, because you can guarantee within 5 minutes of it being announced, the phone will ring. So the person I'd made redundant last month, am I allowed to bring them back now? And I'm like, read through the guidance. But no, it's been challenging, but it's been very interesting.
I mean, it's interesting, and I love the way that you've got this kind of army of people behind you that are also learning as much as they possibly can and flagging up hey guys, just checking that you all know this because I thought out, or it's the community spirit of being together. So you're not like this person that's gone, I've done 20 years of HR and I'm going to go.
Yeah, I know everything.
This is it. I'm done. I know everything. You've got to come to me. I'm an expert. When in reality, it's a moving sands, isn't it? It's constantly moving. So before you came to Collaboration Global, you had that experience of what it feels like to be in a community of people that want to help each other. Yes,
and I think that was one of my reasons for wanting to join or finding Collaboration Global very interesting, because I've loved that collaborative approach that we've got as a franchise, but we're all HR people.
Yes.
So it's nice to then mix with another group of people that are all from different areas, different sectors, and bring different experiences. You know, I didn't become an HR consultant because I was good at finance or marketing or business development. You know, I've not had to do it before. I've never had to sell my HR service to an industry, because yes, you go for an interview, but once you're there, they have to use you. They can't go, actually, I'm not going to go to you on this occasion. I'm going to use a consultant down the road. Yeah. You're in-house, so you don't actually have to sell your service to prove.
That's what's so scary about a lot of people that go into the franchise business, is that obviously they get a lot of training and a lot of support, but the reality of running your own business is a little bit different, isn't it? And
very much so.
You come into a space and go, well, there's a business coach over there I can have a chat with, and there's a marketing consultant over there I can have a chat with. and you can pick their brains and kind of go, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing on this bit.
Yeah.
And also, exactly in your industry, marketing is changing rapidly. You know, the way things are going. The sales consultant will look at, you know, what you used to do in sales 20 years ago, so bad to do.
Don't do it now.
No, you just can't. And it's like, well, what happened? When did it happen? How did it, you know? And I think in reality, when people are their genuine, authentic self, and they put it out there and they just go, hey, this is who I am. This is part of what this podcast is about, is getting to know who Helen Gilfillan is. It's finding out who you really are, because people buy from people.
Yeah.
So in the old days, it would be, there was this sales method, there was a conversation. This, you say this, you say this, you say this, and you close. And you close by saying
close. If you don't close, you failed.
Exactly, yeah. Failure, success. It was a big, and now it's like the right people will come and work with you. The people that understand who you are, the people that will go, she's got 35 years experience and she's got a team of professionals behind her. Why would I not be using this lady? You know, it's really interesting that things are moving so rapidly. And do you remember when you were a kid? We're about the same age. I think I beat you by a few years, but we're not far off. And we used to, Tomorrow's World.
Yes.
TV program called Tomorrow's World, and they would talk about you know, I was like 8 or 9 watching this program, and then they would talk about in the next generation, if you've got children now, when they're adults, this is what will happen. Well, we don't talk about it like that now. In the next 2 to 3 years, there's going to be a revolution, and it's going to happen. It's 5 years at the maximum, and we have seen over the last 10 years at least, even starting of the internet and email, it's just the speed of change is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And so we are constantly moving forward. So how can you do it on your own? Yeah,
no, it's so difficult. But also, if you go back to the selling and people buying from people, you're also not selling a product. You're selling a technical professional service. So people are actually, you know, if I wanted someone to work for me as business development, they're selling me. They're not selling a product. They phone up and say, do you want this product? It's completely different to selling a professional service as well. It's a different approach, isn't it?
And then you hear about people exactly, but you, in order to sell you have to get out there. You have to be visible.
And that's the bit that's been quite difficult during COVID.
Yes,
because
you've got to be visible online.
You can get personalities coming across online, but it's really not the same as meeting people face to face. Because as much as it's a saviour at the moment, because we're still able to network and have meetings, I do like meeting people in person. I find
you can feel their energy, can't you?
And I find businesses fascinating. I love just going into, especially manufacturing, so I've been in manufacturing a long time. I just find the whole process is fascinating, and I just like to understand the business, and you can't do that just over a Zoom call, really. No,
that's very true. I was just going to quote one of my favorite quotes that I like by Woody Allen, although he's probably not a great person to quote at the moment, but he always said, the secret of success, do you want to know the secret of success? Show up. Just be there.
Just be there.
And so many people are invisible online. I know so many people that will like some of my stuff, my LinkedIn or my Facebook or my Twitter or whatever, never make a comment, never interact, never engage. You know they're there, but they're just kind of sitting on the sidelines. It's like, well, how are you selling you if you're not actually visible?
You've got to understand people's personalities, and as you say, what makes them tick, what they're going to engage in. So
exactly. So let's find out a little bit more about what makes you tick. What would you say is your philosophy on life? How would you look at your life and view it and go, well, because of this is who I am? What's your way of looking at it?
I think, I think a lot of it is down to upbringing.
And
I think because of the motivations, I guess, of my father and his career path, wanting to succeed, and I think it's slightly different for my mum, because she did work, but it was different when they were growing up, and it was the traditional, my mum doesn't have the highest paid job, dad does. And my parents split up when I was very young and didn't spend a lot of time with my dad, but my stepfather's been absolutely fantastic as well, and, you know, really encouraging. But it's always just I've just wanted to prove myself. And I don't know whether it's because I felt that my dad wanted boys.
Is that true, or is that what you think?
And he ended up with 4 girls.
Do you think he wanted boys, though? Was that a true thing?
I think yes, and I'll go on to why after.
Okay.
Because he ended up having 4 girls. Slightly, I won't go into the history, but 2 different mothers, because he got married again. But I've always wanted to make him proud, and I never did. None of us followed the traditional, let's go and do O levels in those days.
Yeah.
O levels, A levels, university. I know my mum was a secretary. I went to secretarial college and started out life as a secretary, but I've always wanted to prove a bit more, and I've always set myself a challenge. I always want to be learning. Went into business and I did my CIPD over a number of years. I've done other training courses, and then latterly master's degree, and that was the point that, you know, I've now got a master's degree, make my dad proud. And unfortunately, I think he knows I finished it, but he passed away. It will be 2.5 years ago. And one of my regrets is I never went to my graduation, because I wanted my dad to be there and be able to take photographs, and because he wasn't, I didn't go.
Oh, Helen.
I know, and I sort of regret that.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of it is going back to your original question, is the upbringing and wanting to be successful, but also doing it for myself, as well as wanting to make, you know, my parents proud.
Yeah, brilliant.
And now my kids, you know, I want to do the same for my kids. I want my kids to be proud of me. I want them to see me as a bit of a role model, as, yeah, you know, nothing is impossible.
Yeah.
Do what you've got passionate about and enjoy it, and make sure you're happy in life. So
bottom line, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
I remember saying, you know, my philosophy is I want my kids to look at me and go, well, if mum can do it, then we can do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them to think that, I don't know if can I? I'm not sure. So they said to me different things. I remember my eldest coming to me when she was 17, I can't remember now, into sixth form anyway, saying, Mum, I want to write a play, a comedy, musical, and I want to do it for the charity that the school looks after, and I want to include the whole school. So I want to write it, and I want to direct it, and I want to raise the funds for it, and I want to be in it. And what do you reckon? Do you think I can? And in my head, I'm going, oh my God.
They go, yeah, of course you can, darling.
Exactly. And I'm like, yeah. And there was her and 2 of her friends. Now, when the 3 of us were going to do it together, I'm like, oh, this is going to be tough. But you know what? They did it.
Yeah. With the right determination and the right, you know, if you're interested, it's like when you're at school, you do subjects that you're really not interested in. And actually, I didn't do very well in them. But the minute I go into subjects that I enjoy, it's the same I say to my kids now, you know, about the A levels and degree. Do something that you enjoy, because if you're not enjoying it and you're just doing it because you feel you ought to, you'll find it a struggle. Because you're interested in the subject, you're going to read around it, you're going to research, you're going to find it interesting. Well,
that's when university comes into its own, isn't it? Because you've chosen that. And
you've chosen, Whereas I know people that have chosen degrees because they think it'll get them a job, and actually they've not finished the degree course because they weren't interested in it.
You can't. It's tough to do if you're not actually
yeah.
But she inspired me doing that, because not only did they raise thousands,
fantastic,
they put a show on. It was 5 performances during 1 week, and it was just, and they went up and down the high street asking for sponsors. They did everything. They got me to get my friend to come and paint all the backdrops. So, you know, for about a week we were up there, and he's like, why did we say we were going to do this again? It's a good thing. We're doing a good thing. But it inspired me, and I'm like,
yeah, fantastic.
I didn't, in the back of my mind, thought it's never going to come off.
Yeah.
How wrong was I?
If you put your mind to it, you can do it. Anything is possible.
Yeah. So what's your definition of success? What does success look like to you?
Success is the fact that, brought up my kids in the right way.
You've not killed any of them yet. Talk about
Not on the right.
How many kids?
I've got two girls, 23 and 17. How can I forget when I'm starting to have to drive? So yeah, bring them up in the right way, that they're happy and successful. But success for me in terms of the first stepping stone for me was to actually work for myself. I didn't want to be working for someone else the rest of my life. Probably I could have done it earlier, but then there's all different experiences. You can say, actually, it wasn't, when's the right time? You just don't know.
Learning curve.
But for me as a business, I guess in another 5 or 10 years' time, I want to be either handing over the reins to someone else in the background still, because I still feel I want to be part of the business. I think I find it very difficult to let go, but I want to pick the bits that I want to do, then have someone else working. I want to expand in terms of territory, possibly office location, but actually doesn't seem to be quite so important now with the way people have adapted to working at home. But yeah, so being able to retire or part-time, semi-retire.
Well, the thing is, so many people retire and they fall down dead, don't they? It's like, well, what have you got going in your life? You've got to have something that's giving you that drive. And
I think I would struggle. I've always had to have, I'm always on the go. My kids will say, for God's sake, Mum, will you sit down? You know, if I'm not working, I'm running, or I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So I think I would struggle to completely let go. I've always got to have that something. And my father was exactly the same. You know, he didn't retire because you could have done at 65. I think he was still working at mid-70s probably. He was doing a bit of consultancy. He was running for councillor where he lived. He got his racing license when he was 69 or 70, and that's the bit I was going to say earlier about wanting boys. He was into his motor racing. He actually moved to Toaster so he could be near Silverstone and a Waitrose, but Waitrose had to be in walking distance and Silverstone was round the corner. And I got into the racing, and I actually became a racing driver and alongside him.
Wow.
And I think that's where I think I was probably the closest he got to a son that he never had.
He probably didn't regret not having sons if he had you sitting there.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the enjoyment that it gave him, honestly, it was, and that's, I enjoyed it, but actually my enjoyment was more the fact how I saw him enjoying it and just absolutely loved it. Yeah.
It's finding that something in your life that gives you that joy, isn't it? When I say to my kids, when I see them, I look them in the eyes and I'm like, are you happy?
Yeah.
That's good. Job done. That's good. But you know, it's transient. It's something that is having that thing that gives you joy, that feeds your soul, that gives you a reason for being. That's what I find.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many people don't have that, and obviously a lot of yours is channeled from your parents that you're kind of channeling back into your kids. But also the fact that you are in HR in itself means you're kind of putting this label on your forehead. I want to help people.
Yeah.
You're understanding that, you know, human resources, I think, is the worst title in the world. You know, don't get me started.
No.
but the
it's better than human remains, which is what I've been called before.
Oh no.
Human remains manager.
Oh dear.
Bad.
That is, yeah. But so from what I see from you is that you're caring and that you're kind and you just want to help people. You want to make life easier for them, whether that be your kids or whether that be your clients. Like, I've got this knowledge, I've got this information, I've got this energy. What can I do? How can I do it? And I think that's possibly, I don't know, I'm putting words in your mouth now, is possibly what attracted you to Collaboration Global. I mean, when we hadn't met until about, I don't know, 4 months ago. Yeah. What attracted you first to the community? Or how did you find it when you first arrived?
It was when you attended another networking group that I was on, and you did a talk.
That's right, yes.
About LinkedIn.
Yes.
And I know you've got another member, Simon, who had already talked about it as well. So I think it's just the collaboration, you know, and when you work for yourself, you miss that. You miss that office camaraderie and having other people run things off, and or just being in that space, really. So
yeah,
what attracted me to it, and then obviously came to the first meeting, and I was sold.
Oh, lovely. Without being sold to, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that would be horrible, wouldn't it? You have to bash people over the head and go, all right, what's your decision? What are you going to do? I can't be doing with that. So one of the things we were talking about earlier is when you meet people face to face and you meet them online. And one of the things that we used to do as a community was meet face to face, and we had all these meetings. And now my conscience pricks me and tells me that we shouldn't be meeting face to face, because it means all of these people are going to one venue and then they're all going home again, and they may be traveling for an hour or 2 hours. Sometimes we have people travel for 4 or 5 hours to get to a meeting and then just travel straight back again. And I'm like, well, it's not good for the environment, is it? And actually it's costing the organisation quite a bit of money, and it's taken a huge effort. And rather it being a 2-hour meeting, it's an all-day thing by the time you get there and then you get back again. So my decision has been to go online. And I was concerned that part of our reason for being is this energy that we share when we're together. It's like somebody said something, or you've had an epiphany, or a blinding flash of obvious, or someone's taught you something that you didn't know about yourself, and you give a hug to each other afterwards. It's like, it was the most natural thing in the world that you give a hug. I thought, how are we going to do it online if we haven't got a hug? It's going to be really weird. But you've only ever experienced it online. We have never actually met face to face, have we?
No, we haven't. No.
And now we've got people that have joined us from Malaysia and from Brazil, and there are other people coming to our meetings from India and South Africa and various places. For people that are listening that might want to come along, what would you say the energy is like in an online meeting for Collaboration Global?
I actually think the energy is great. I think the reason the energy is great, and you get that in this type of meeting, is because the subjects that you talk about, you're trying to understand people's opinions. You get people's opinions. Whereas in a normal sort of networking environment, you don't get that openness, which is why I think that is not as easy to do online as the collaboration part, because I think the topics bring out the best in people, bring out maybe the worst in people, but you want people's opinions, don't you? And I think that's how you engage with them, when you can understand. But I think the energy in the meetings that I've attended have been brilliant. You know, you can really feel that the energy's in the room, what motivates people.
Yeah.
I think I don't find that it's massively affected online with that collaboration.
Yeah, I think for me, that the moment I knew that it was working was when somebody said something and we all kind of went, oh yeah, and it was all
yeah.
And if you can bring you to emotion by just something that somebody's saying, you can't even give them a hug, then it's like, you know, because in a face-to-face meeting, the energy was palpable in the room.
Yes,
We're never going to recreate that. But when somebody, I can't even remember what it was, this was a few months ago, I think it was the second or third meeting, and somebody said something and I was like, I can't talk, and I had to go on and carry on the conversation. I'm like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah, give me a moment.
It was just like that, and I think that doesn't happen every meeting, obviously, but it has happened for a few meetings. I'm just trying to think of one example.
I think the first one I attended, it was quite like that, when we were listening to,
is it Brian Abbott?
No, it was
he was telling the story how this is one that really got me, how he nearly died by deep sea cave diving. And I'm like, one, stupid, why would you go deep sea cave diving? But he was this extreme sports fanatic, and he explained it, and the way he told the story, I'm like, oh my goodness, he should be on a TED talk or something. The learning he got from it just pivoted his whole life from what he's doing now, which is about transformation. We're doing a big ad for Brian Abbott here. But just the conversation that he had, he was presenting, and it's just like, and we finished, I'm like, that was really good, right? I had nothing. I had more words wouldn't come out because it was just so profound what he'd been saying. And you're coming, I don't know if you're coming on not next Tuesday, Tuesday after.
24th, is it the 24th? Yeah.
Got Phil Street, quick advert for Phil Street. He's doing a Connect-to-Me, and he is passionate about kindness.
Yeah.
And apparently today is National Kindness Day.
Oh, is it? I watched your post earlier in the TED talk with.
Amazing.
Yeah. So no, I've just seen that, and that's in the diary for the 24th.
Good. That is going to be fun. So, tipping it on its head, then we talked about the things that you love and what your secret, not so much your secret of success, but how you view success in your life and your philosophy of life. What makes you angry? What really gets you going? What's kind of the thing that only? Yeah, one of those.
I get, when I worked in industry, I got a lot more angry than I do now. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I'm done now.
People wonder why they're stressing the work.
Yeah, just. So what makes me angry? Gosh. Deceit makes me angry.
That's a new one. I've had lots of different ones come up on this, but deceit, I
think deceit. I don't know, what do I get angry about? I'll get angry with the kids sometimes, but that's just answering back and argumentative, but that's just learning how to deal with different emotions as well, isn't it? I guess more frustration than anger is when people ring for your advice and they don't actually take it. And then you hear from them a couple of months later and it's gone horribly wrong, and you really want to say, well, I told you so, but I don't do that. I go, right, okay, now let's unpick that and think how we can deal with it.
And secretly you're going, I told you so.
Yeah, I told her I should have done it the right way. But anger, rudeness in the cars, I think, driving now, I try not to get angry because I've done a little bit of mindfulness and driving awareness course.
Oh yeah, well, I've been one of those.
So I used to get quite angry with people that cut you up, and then they make you think about, well, there might be a reason why they're doing that. Something might have just happened that they're in a hurry. But a lot of the time, it does annoy me, people on the roads that are just so dangerous.
Yes, it is dangerous, and then you've got to go, oh, I'm going to back off the gas and let go. That's fine. That
does make me angry, and especially when I've got one now learning to drive, you become more aware of it, really, because they're not used to all the different things that they're not aware of. That they're not aware that something could come out of that junction. They're not aware that corner's blind and someone's going to come. So I'm going on a tangent now, but yeah.
But I hear you. I used to say to my kids, okay, when you're driving, everybody else on the road is an idiot.
Yes.
And treat them as such. All right. Give them plenty of space. But a top tip for when somebody cuts you up on the road. And again, I don't know if you believe in law of attraction, but the more you get into it, whether you believe it or not, I find that I don't get cut up on the road anymore. It doesn't happen to me. But occasionally when my husband's driving, it happens and he's like, and I'm like, no, he's busting for the toilet. Let him go. He's desperate. That's all it is. He just needs to.
He just needs to go to the toilet. Someone's just been taken into hospital. He's just had an awful call. You've just got to think about what situation they may be in. And that's one thing that makes me angry. But so and rudeness. Just there's no need for rudeness. Not saying please, thank you, manners. Just that's something that makes me angry.
I love a good soapbox moment. We've my thing is isms. So I don't like racism, ageism, sexism, anything like that. And I think basics, anything that's
well, obviously I don't either. From what I preach. And
yes, exactly. And feeling it unfair, anything that's unfair makes me want to jump on my soapbox and have a good rant. And when you spot it, it's like, whoa. And then you realize the more you look into it, the more you understand where all of these isms have come from. Historically, there's no one to blame here and now. It's just the way we've been brought up. And you were saying
about society,
the influences of our parents, and they've been influenced as well. So it's going to have this knock-on effect. So the person that is sexist or racist, I just feel a bit sorry for them because they don't know any better, and they don't realise that they can have a much nicer life
No, and it's probably their upbringing as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've got to learn. We had a session a little while ago on Black Lives Matter, one of our Evolve sessions in Collaboration Global. And it was really interesting because people literally came from all around the world to have their say and get on their soapbox. And what it made me realise is that as a privileged white person, I had no concept of the depth of racism that we see around us today.
And some people suffer, yeah.
Yeah. Even down to most black people in the UK think it's normal to be pulled over at least once a month by the police. I'm like, surely not. No, surely not. So well, how many have you had? I think twice in my life, ever. And I'm like, I've had at least 50. I'm like, it's amazing. So we don't experience that, so we don't know about it. And it's not start talking about it that you realise. It's
a bit like stereotyping as well, though, isn't it? If you're a boy racer in a white boy racer in a car, you're likely to be pulled over the same probably as well. It's the stereotypical attitudes of some people. And
we're all good at making sweeping statements, aren't we?
Yeah.
Everybody really does.
Because you're in that age category, you're going to be.
Yeah. Or millennials are lazy. No, not the ones I know, actually. Or all those kind of things. It's like, we've got to stop doing this because it's vive la différence. It's the differences make us better by celebrating them, not by negating them and saying that they're, we should all be alike. No, we shouldn't. That's horrible. Yeah. How awful would that be? Okay, so this is getting to the sort of final nub of it. So you've got your 2 kids at home.
Yeah.
Where does Mum live? You said you don't see her very often. Is she far from you?
She only lives in Colchester, so she's only half an hour away.
And you're based in
Great Notley.
Great Notley. Where's that for the greater public?
Near Great Leys, Chelmsford-ish way. Well, not Braintree.
Heart of Essex, basically. Oh, I know Great Notley now. Yeah, it's just fallen in. I know.
Yeah.
Yes, golf. Yeah. You're there. There used to be a B&I group there as well that I used to look after.
Oh, okay.
A long time ago. So your mum.
Yes, there's a golf club, so I play at Notley.
Oh, you play golf as well. You play all the boys' sports, don't you? You go racing and play golf.
Racing, golf. Yeah.
What else do you do to keep you sane? What's do you
run, cycle, ski.
Oh, gosh.
I probably try my hand at most things really, but in terms of what I do regularly, I don't do as much cycling regularly because I've had a bit of a knee problem. I've done a couple of marathons, and that was something again I never thought I'd be able to achieve. And then I belonged to a running group, and then you see as a group what you can achieve just by talking to other people, motivating and seeing what other people can do. I'm like, well, if you can do a marathon, I'm sure. So so my training's taken a bit of a back seat because of my knee, and it's a long story, but building up muscles in different areas to then at the moment I shouldn't be cycling because that's concentrating on the wrong muscle group. So I love my cycling. I have done one very small, twice I've done it, triathlon.
Wow.
But I hate the swimming. So I do the running and the cycling, but I hate getting cold.
Yeah. Yeah, and you start off
rest to go swimming either, can you? I don't mind skiing and getting cold because you've got all the right clothes on, but you can't put loads of clothes on and go swimming so you don't get cold.
Don't you have to do the swim first as well?
Yeah. So you do the swim and you get on your bike soaking wet.
Yeah.
And it's But so anyway, so I've done but no, so I just love my exercise really. I love being outdoors. If I haven't run that day or done a home workout, then I'll try and go for a walk.
That's your sanity.
Love being outside. It's my sanity. Yeah. Peace.
What do you think about Joe Wicks doing 24-hour workout?
Yeah, no, I haven't watched any of those actually. I sort of do my own workouts at home.
Yeah, I did one of his workouts. I thought I was going to die.
Oh, really? Well, I did. Well, wanting to always learn. One of the things when I got into a job that I sort of then wanted to take on something else, I became an aerobics instructor.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day, I was teaching aerobics and Reebok Step, if you remember that, and legs. So I did that was something else that I took on to like then improve and learn something else. So so I do like my exercise.
Yeah, it is. I think what you're saying is the social thing, isn't it, as well? And knowing that there are people around you that have done it, and you think, oh, well, maybe I can, maybe I'll give that a go. I read somewhere that if you're driving a motorway and it says the sign comes up and it says like 6 miles to the next junction, and you go, I can run that. Then you're a marathon.
I've done that. Or if I know I'm on a training plan to do a marathon, and say on the Sunday you do a long run, and I know I've got 10 miles to go, I'm thinking, right, that's here to my mum's.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Have you ever done it? Have you ever run to your mum's?
No, I haven't. When my mum was ill, and when I was training for marathon, I was looking after her, and I'd run from hers, but I've not actually run from Braintree to Colchester.
God. Yeah.
Roads are not very good. I like to do all the little back roads and interesting places.
I'm impressed with all of that because I've never even run for a bus. So my exercise comes from all the racket sports, badminton, table tennis, squash.
Oh yeah, I've played squash before. Used to play a lot of squash and tennis.
Now I'm into yoga because
go out
and get cold and it's winter. But I do admire. My husband goes to run every morning, so I do. And my daughter's done the marathon, and my son-in-law's done an Ironman and triathlons and all sorts of things. So I'm surrounded by people that go on, you can do it. And
you can do it.
Maybe I'll have to get you to train me to get get out there.
Well, my eldest got into her running now through me. She doesn't like running with me because she likes to run and listen to her music. So
yeah, I get that. But I think
we get out on different times.
That's my problem. Is in my head, it's like I'll get out there and I know I can run from A to B, and then I'll get to go to C, and halfway past B, I'm like, I'm bored or I'm tired. And my inner chimp, that mindset is like finding a million excuses, yelling at me, turn around, stop, go get a cup of tea. So I'm not enjoying it. But I've just read a book by a guy called Hal Elrod, and it's The Miracle Morning, which I've been banging on about a little bit. And he I've spoken to somebody about that recently. Yeah, and he talks about going for a run when everything was wrong in his life. Absolutely everything was wrong. He was depressed. His job had just failed. He had a girlfriend, but he was living with his parents, and it was just wrong. And he rang up a friend to say, "Look, I'm at the end of my tether. What do I do?" He said, "Just go for a run." He said, "But I hate running. Just go for a run." But I don't. Just do it, and then come back and call me. So all right. Put his trains on, went for a run, and he realized that whilst he wasn't fit, it was hard, he didn't like running. He came to that moment when it cleared his brain a little bit. It gave him that little bit of a clarity about what am I going to do. And then he spoke to his friend and said, right, so what are you going to do? And he said, well, the only time in my day I'd have to get up earlier in order to get some of the stuff done that I need to get done. He said, well, okay, so start
do it
early. And it was the thing that every day, don't give yourself a choice, go. It's like the 5-second rule. You go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just do it.
Yeah.
And so
it's interesting with running though, actually, because it's not a switch off. Whereas motor racing, you get in the car and you don't think of anything else apart from the track. And that is a release. But with running, it is the way you explained it there. It is funny because you do run, but you're thinking at the same time. And so even if you have had loads of stress in the day, you've got so much to do, by running, it does give you that clarity. Because the case of switching off, because you're just running, I could do my normal route and then forget, did I go past that today? Can't remember doing that. Like you drive somewhere on autopilot, it's the same running. So you still do get that clarity. It just makes you get back and think, right, now I know what I'm going to do next.
You're encouraging me. Thanks, Helen. I'm thinking maybe I'll have to do that.
We'll just start with a walk run. Just do a mile, or start walk run, and just gradually build it up.
Yeah, but couch to 5K. I've tried
couch to 5K.
I got to about 4K, and then I stopped. What's wrong with me? I just don't need to do it. If the sun's shining like it just is now, and it's not raining, and it's not dark, okay. You
need to want to do it though, because it's all in the mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your legs will run, but if your mind's telling you can't do it, then you won't.
That's true about everything, isn't it? What if you left your job and you bought your franchise and you was working away and your mind was going, I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough, you doubt yourself. I know a colleague of mine does something similar, and we doubt ourselves sometimes, but you just got to pick the phone up and say, doubting myself on this one, and then you think, actually, no, I do know it.
I'm brilliant. I'm a genius.
Yeah, it's just having that sounding board, which is where the collaboration comes into it with anything.
Yeah, definitely. So if somebody's listening to you now and they've got a business and maybe they've got 10 or 20 staff, and they've got an issue with one of them and they're feeling a little bit, I don't know what to do. I've got a policy. I've looked at the policy, but
but that doesn't tell me how to do it.
Yeah. What would you suggest? What's the easiest?
Just say, phone me up.
There you go. What's the easiest way to contact you, Helen?
Email or phone. Really? Yeah.
Here's your email address then.
Is helen.gilfillan, GILFILLAN at hrdept.co.uk.
Brilliant. And obviously they can come and find you at a Collaboration Global meeting where you hang up on the last Tuesday of the month. If you go to the website, collaborationglobal.org, you can book yourself on to the next meeting and meet Helen, and then send a little message and then say, hi, I love who you are, what you do. Can you help me with my business? And I'm sure she'll be able to have a phone call and sort you out in the nicest possible way. Any parting shots? Anything you haven't said that I tell you what we did talk about before, just finally, people that are home working and the issues that they are suffering by feeling isolated. What would you give as a piece of advice for them that are
I just think it's so important that business owners or managers are keeping in regular contact with their people at home. I've spoken to colleagues that are furloughed, or even if they're furloughed or working from home, it's so important just to pick the phone up, because you don't know what those people are going through if you haven't been seeing them or you haven't had a call with them. Because it's easy in an office. You go into an office environment and someone will go, morning, and someone else goes, and you think, well, that's unusual for them this morning. Whereas actually you don't see any of that when you're working from home. And it's important that you have mechanisms in place that you keep that communication flowing. We talk about the conversations by the water cooler, the conversations in the canteen, the conversations in the kitchen making a cup of coffee, any of that interaction. So it's how are you capturing some of those little things or conversations that are going on to then involve people that may be working from home or feeling quite isolated. And we have got some great materials to try and help managers make sure they're managing people at home, and also performance managing. If you've got an appraisal system, you don't know what people are doing. Are you setting those objectives? Do you have to be a little bit more fluid or flexible in those? Should you be having one-to-ones? Do you need to adapt your processes to cater for those people at home from a mental health perspective as well as from a productivity perspective? So it's very important at the moment, very important to keep that going.
And I think on National Kindness Day, it's worth picking
definitely
up and talking to people and just letting them know that you're there.
They're
not on their own. I think the worst thing in the world that this pandemic has brought is the isolation. It's really hard when you feel like you're all on your own.
Yeah, and even if you've got people at home, if you know they've got people at home with them, it doesn't mean to say they're not struggling.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
and think about ways that you can involve them in something fun. Have a tea break in an afternoon and get everyone to dial into Zoom with a cup of tea or funny hat on or something. Or my daughter's company that she works for, they've done a treasure hunt. Do a 20-minute. The manager says, right, everyone go around the house and find the most disgusting ornament that you can find. Tasteless ornament, and they'll go running around the house. Go and get a tin of beans. So just
I love it.
Fun to break the day up. It doesn't just have to be work.
Yes, indeed. What a brilliant advice. Thank you. That's a great way to end it. Yes, have some fun. Thank you so much for joining us today, Helen. I really enjoyed our conversation, our walk through HR. And you've already given the email address. You want to do it one more time, just in case people want to contact you?
Yes, it is helen.gilfillan at hrdept.co.uk.
Lovely. And as I say, if you want to meet Helen face to face, she'll be at the Collaboration Global meeting on the 24th of November or the last Tuesday of every month. apart from December, because we might be having some time off, of course. Thanks ever so much, Helen. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
next time. Take care.
Thank you.